everybody, it's your lovely Lotus Blossom Lizzie, and today I'm going to show you how I make dividers for the personal planner, which is something I haven't shown in the past. You guys usually see how things come together, and I wanted to really kind of show you how I did this. Now, these are actually the dividers that we're going to be making in this video, and I'm just kind of just setting them in here because I'm not actually doing the setup for the month just yet. But if you enjoy videos like this, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. You can do that after watching or during, but I always like to remind people in the beginning. And then also, I would love for you to also leave a comment and let me know how you make your dividers, or if you make your own dividers or you purchase those. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. And as a bonus, I'm also going to show you how I put together these routine cards as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to go through our paper pad here and just find the pieces that we're going to be using for this, because the only pieces of cardstock that I'll be using is actually coming from this paper pad. And a great tip when you are creating a project is to have theme pieces or theme pads, because most of the pieces all come together. They all are within the same color schemes, and it just makes it really easy and fast to kind of figure out what you want to use, because we don't want this project to be tedious. We want it to be fun. And if they already have all the colors all together there, then I'm all for it in all the different patterns. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start cutting my pieces out with my Cricut divider, and you can see the pieces come out really crisp and clean, and I'll have a link below to all the equipment that I'm using as well as the supplies. So if it's something that you want to do, then you can go ahead and pick those up. So I'm not going to show you exactly how I did the actual formatting of the dividers, but I already have a template that I use every month. So the only thing that I changed from last month to this month is actually where the labels go, and I changed it to circles from actual hearts because I used hearts last month. So I'm still kind of going through and I'm cutting all the pieces. I'm just trying to make sure everything looks the way that I want it to look. So what you see from left to right is you see the dividers, and then you see the routine cards, and then you actually see the dashboards in here. So now I'm actually using another page from that same paper pad, and these are some cutaway cards, and the cutaway cards are great because you don't have to go look anyplace else for anything, and this makes this project like really affordable as well. So I was trying to use my X-Acto knife to kind of do some of the fussy cutting, and I just got tired of doing it. It was taking me too long because, again, I don't want this to be a job. I wanted this to be fun. So I went ahead and got my scissors out and I took my chances, and it came out okay. So for each of the fussy cards, each of the cards here that I'm going to use, I actually kind of used the shapes that were on the actual images themselves to kind of guide me as to how I was going to cut them. So again, I didn't have to do too much thinking. And these cards I'm going to use again on the dividers themselves, and I'll be doing a bit of layering, and you'll see that in a few moments. So on this last card, I didn't really have a shape to go by, but I just made a shape out of it because, you know, that's what you have to do. And then I figured out that I didn't have enough, so I had to go back in and cut some more cards. But this paper pack just had a ton of things, and the theme was just like so on point, because this is like a planner's paper pad here. It had everything that a planner would be applying to their planners. So the next thing I did was I got some washi tapes out, and just lucky for me, the first one that I tried actually I thought really went good with this theme. And I always like to use washi tapes on my actual pieces for my divider because I feel like it just kind of makes things a set. And also I want to use my washi tape because I have tons of it and I don't want to be a hoarder. So I had This particular washi tape came from Michael's, and I had lots of it, so I used it. So just keep in mind, if you do your project the way that I'm doing mine, that you're going to need a roll that has a lot of washi tape, because I didn't want to like switch between washi tapes, which you could totally do. I just wanted to use one that I could use across the board so that it would all fit together, and it did nicely. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm just kind of making sure I had enough of the dashboards here. And the dashboards, you can see they're just straightforward and to the point with a little bit of washi on it. So also now I'm just kind of laying out the dividers now, and I'm putting on my embellishments, which is those tearaway cards that I cut out. And I really love the way they came out, and I really love the way the colors came together. And again, that's because I'm using that same paper pad. I can't say that enough. So I took out my paper cutter because I had some straight edges that I needed to cut, and I went ahead and I started kind of assembling things after I made sure that the washi tape was going to go well with these dividers, because you know, I couldn't just stop there. I wanted to put some of the washi on here as well because I want this to be a set. So I kind of sandwiched the front and the back of the cards together, and again, you could actually buy cardstock that has a front and back, but I used the Cheapo Depot pads, which don't have anything on the back, so I made a front and a back, and then I just used a little bit of tape to adhere everything together, except for the washi tape, because it already has adhesive on it, because you don't need a lot of adhesive for this part of the project because we're going to be laminating these sheets. So you just want to make sure also that you don't layer things too much, because unless you have a heavy duty laminator, it's not going to go through the laminator. And even though I had maybe 3 layers of cardstock, it still kind of gave my laminator not too much a run for its money this time, because the cardstock wasn't that thick. But I think maybe for one sheet that I put through, it kind of got snagged up just a little bit, but overall I didn't really have any real problems with it. So I'm just continuing to put my my washi tape on each one, and again, I didn't give it too much thought because I didn't want to get stuck. I just kind of wanted to make sure that every piece had a bit of washi on it. And then I did my dashboard also, my front dashboard. So now I took out my laminator, and while it is heating up, I'm going ahead and I'm kind of putting my laminating sheets together, and I was able to put at least 2 dividers into each one, and I'm only laminating the dividers. I'm not laminating anything else, just the dividers only. And then I'm going to go ahead and run those through. Now, one thing that you don't see after they go through the laminator itself is I actually put something heavy on top of them so that they'll lay flatter. So they won't be completely flat, but as they're nice and warm, I wanted to make sure that I put something heavy on them so that they'll lay flat when I get ready to cut them, and also to put them inside of the actual planner itself. Now I took out the corner chomper and I chomped some corners there also, and it's up to you if you want to use rounded corners or not. I find that my taste change from month to month when it comes to the rounded corners. So in this case, I wanted to round the corners of the pieces that were going into the front of the planner, and then I moved on to my routine cards. Now the routine cards they're just 3x4 cards. You can use Project Life cards if you wanted to. And then what I did was I typed out my routines so I don't have to type them out every month. I can add to it, I can take away, and then I typed it in typewriter font because I don't have one of those fancy typewriters, which I wish I did, but I just use a typewriter font on my computer, and then I printed those out and then I cut those out. And I also use I believe 32-pound paper because I wanted the paper to be kind of hefty, because I want to make sure that these stand the test of time, because I take my routine cards out and I put them in, take them out, and I wanted to just make sure that they last. So I just cut everything in nice straight cuts. I didn't try to do anything out of the ordinary, and then I laid them out to make sure that they look pretty on the cardstock themselves. And then I just took my regular old stapler and I stapled them on. Why did I use staplers? Well, I was being a little bit lazy, but you can use anything or any type of adhesive to put your routines on the cards themselves. So now I'm switching back to the dividers themselves, and I'm just cutting that lamination. Now with the lamination, you want to make sure that you don't cut too close to the paper itself, because remember that these are pockets that you've kind of created. And if you cut too close to the pocket, they're going to come out, and you'll see me actually taping up one because I actually cut too close. But it's not the end of the world if that happens, you know. Just know that you can fix anything with a little bit of tape. So I'm just cutting the corners, because you want to do that when you do the lamination, because those corners are really sharp and they can cut you. So now I'm just kind of laying everything out to make sure that it looks good. Now I slowed this part up here because I wanted to kind of show you how I punch my holes. And I've showed this before if you watched any of the videos here, but the only thing I did was use a pre-existing divider that came with one of my recollections planners. I have tons of them, and so I just laid them over the top, and then I used a regular pen. You don't have to have a marker or anything fancy, and I just put my little holes on there, and then I took out my 99-cent hole punch, and then I punched it. Now if you have a hole punch, then this is not going to be an issue for you. I do not have a hole punch, so I have to actually punch everything individually, and depending on how thick your cardstock is, you'll be able to punch more than one page at a time. So for demonstration purposes, I actually just did one for you guys only. Now what I also did was I just went and I got one of my recollections planners, and this is not the one that I'll be using for the next month, but I just want to test my holes out and make sure that the punches came out okay. You don't want to get through the whole hole punch process only to find that you punched your holes wrong. But again, it's not the end of the world if that happens, because the only thing that you'll need to do is you just need to use some washi. So give this video a thumbs up if you are a huge fan of washi, just like I am. And so the next thing that I did was the dividers themselves, not the dividers, but the dashboards. And I went ahead and I punched the holes, and you can see I rounded the corners on these as well. And so I did the same thing. I just took the actual pre-existing divider that I had from the recollections. I put it over the top. I marked my holes, and then I took my Cheapo Depot hole punch and I punched the holes. And again, you can layer these so you can punch more than one hole at a time. So always just keep that in mind. So it's not the end of the world if you punch the holes wrong. You know, this is like a no fuss type of project. Now I'm doing one of the laminated pieces next, because I just wanted you to see that you can do this on your lamination as well. So if you can't afford like one of those really expensive, well, I won't say they're expensive, but I just haven't made that investment into the hole punches yet, but I will soon. But if you don't want to do that, you can do yours the way that I do mine too. Just know that it's going to take you a little bit of time to do that. But if you have like a nice lazy Sunday or a lazy Saturday afternoon, you can just do this and it's no problem. Because I definitely would suggest that you do these in stages. You don't have to just sit down for hours and actually make your dividers. You can do things in stages. So you can cut your paper on one day, you can put the paper together, you can do your lamination on one day. So you can do things all in baby steps. So it's not an all or nothing type of process. So now what I wanted to do next is I wanted to show you all how everything came out. And the first thing I'm going to show you is the dividers themselves. So I'm going to show you the front and the back. And you can see the back, I didn't do any embellishments on the back, only on the front. Each piece has some of that lovely washi tape on it. And then also, you can see that I was able to punch a hole through the washi tape as well. So each piece in this particular case has that embellishment that has the quotes on there, and the quotes are really nice as well. So it's kind of motivating when you open up your planner and you can see these quotes. Now I cut all of these pieces with the dimensions of 4 inches wide by 6 3/4 inches tall. if you want to know what the dimensions are. And then I added the circles within the template that I had. Now you can just cut like the square pieces or rectangle pieces, and then you can add the circles in. You would just kind of sandwich them in between the front and the back of your actual divider, and then laminate it, and then you would have like your labels on there already. Of course, you can just do like the square pieces like you see here, and then you can add labels in it onto it as well if you wanted to. So the last pieces I wanted to show you is how the dividers came out. Not the dividers, I'm sorry, the dashboards. And the dashboards, they don't have any back on them. And what I did differently from last month is I only put washi tape on the front, because I found that it was kind of unnecessary to put washi tape on the front and the back like I had been doing, and I didn't want to waste tape. I do want to use it, but I didn't want to waste the tape also. And then the last piece of the puzzle is the routine cards. And of course, you don't need to have routine cards. I'm a list person. I've become a list person. Don't tell my mother. I've become a list person, and I like having things to tick off. And I actually use my list cards a lot. So I would definitely suggest, if that's something that you want to do, they're just really easy to make and to put into your planner. So if this is a video that you enjoy, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel. I'm going to have all the equipment and supplies that I use down in the description, so you can support the channel as well by shopping using the links below. And I just wanted to say thank you all for coming on my planner journey. I'm really enjoying doing videos like this. So make sure you leave a comment below and let me know what type of videos you would like to see coming from me. So with that, I'm going to say love, peace, and hair grease from your sweet lotus blossom and lovable Lizzie. Have a fantabulous day and enjoy life.